The Nintendo Switch 2 Massive Direct is now 10 days away, but we have a question, and this question is being fueled on the internet today from multiple places and sources, and that is, are we actually waiting till April 2nd to get news? No, we're not talking about Switch 2 news. Yeah, absolutely. We're not going to get anything officially from Nintendo on Nintendo Switch 2 until April 2nd. But what about the Nintendo Switch? What about this system we already have? This is the Zelda edition. What about this? Could we be getting a Nintendo Direct or an Indie World for this platform literally this week, maybe as soon as this upcoming Wednesday? Well, lots of things seem to be lining up from multiple places that are indicating that, yes, Nintendo has a Nintendo Switch 1 surprise for us this week. Maybe this game behind us will be part of that surprise. We can always hope, right? Well, before we dive in, I want to remind you guys that yes, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2 right now through the link in the description and or the pinned comment. Anyone can enter as long as it's legal in your country and you're of age. I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you for being here, and hopefully you guys enjoy today's video. So it all started, I don't want to say it all started. There's actually so many facets to this, but my research into this began with this post this morning by Stealth40K saying Nintendo made the right call not having any more Switch Directs before the big Switch 2 presentation. It feels like a drought of Nintendo news now, but I think Nintendo wants people talking about Switch 2 announcements, not Switch announcements at the same time. Now, it is important to note, because this is where this started, that we don't have anything else on the Nintendo Switch 2 slate. There is no current release date for Pokemon Legends EA. There is no release date for Metroid Prime 4. And now that Xenoblade Chronicles X came out last week, we don't have anything scheduled from Nintendo coming to Switch 1 with any sort of actual release date. So it is a little weird right now that we got past that and there's nothing here. What's going on? Well, there is some hints out there that maybe because this tweet went out, Nintendo does have some surprises. First, it starts with the Andy Robinson. And look, this is fishing. You could say that we are absolutely fishing here. And to that, I would say, yeah, you're right. Looking at that Andy Robinson post, sure feels like we're fishing a little bit to make this video. But then things keep going a little deeper as we keep going to other people. How about Necro Felipe Lima, who had this to say over on X? Nintendo is a really unpredictable and funny company, right? Keep an eye on this week. What if? And ... trails off. Now, okay, that's another interesting person. Why is this person acting like Nintendo is going to be doing something this week? Things keep going crazier. So remember we mentioned the possibility of an Indie World? Well, we have this stuff over on the Nintendo Switch 2 subreddit that says rumors suggest an Indie World Direct will take place this Thursday. So Family Boards user Estoya82 has claimed a few days ago there will be something happening next Thursday, and it's likely an Indie World Direct. So it said waiting until April 2nd is unbearable. Lucky us, we will have something to discuss in about 7 days. Then Routine Heron said, so it'll be like an Indie World Direct. And he said, likely gathering other user hints. So, like, not saying it will be an Indie World, but they think it will be. Amari Fan 64 said, you mean the Switch 2 release date? He said, nope. We were expecting something to happen between January 16th and April 2nd. That didn't happen, right? But going by my source, it will actually happen. Whoever this person's source is, right? Then we get to the fourth post here. We weren't sure about the nature of that rumored direct / presentation, right? It surely won't be a general direct. In a similar fashion, by quoting the under a post saying Nintendo made the right call, not having any more Switch Directs before Switch 2. Game journalist Andy Robinson also hints at something. So again, that all comes from Family Boards. And there's some really weird stuff going on at Family Boards right now. As we go over here and look on their speculation thread for the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, as we scroll down here, we start to get to this area where there's these hidden posts. And this is what I find really interesting is Family Boards does this thing right here by Kaisen where they posted something and it's hidden. You got to be here for 300 days, 300 hours. Like, I'm not going to sit here. You guys know my feelings on them hiding stuff. But this has caused an absolute explosion in this thread. And we're going to find out here on this next page that this is about a Nintendo Direct happening supposedly on Wednesday. So as we go down here, there'll be one post here that kind of gives away that what they're discussing, right? vague thread spoilers, all this stuff. It's right here. This Rareware guy says, a general Switch Direct in 3 days? What? Well, maybe there is hope for Prime 2 and 3 remaster before Prime 4 after all, assuming that it's true. And again, that was the kind of the hint that sort of gave away what's being talked about in all of these hidden posts. And there's some context in those hidden posts as well about a possible direct. And it just keeps going on and on like this for several pages. They're up to like page, 173 it says right now. And it just keeps going. Lots and lots of hidden posts discussing all of this stuff. Now, this gets back to the idea of, can there actually be an Indie World this week? Well, let's start with that. Absolutely. Of course, Nintendo kind of does Indie Worlds pretty sporadically and random, and we haven't had one in a while. Haven't had one since, end of August of last year. Of course, we haven't had a general direct since June of last year, so there is that. But we obviously have the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct announced. All the reasons there were to have a Nintendo Direct in February are kind of the same reasons as now. We need games on Switch 1. Not everyone's going to get Switch 2. Not everyone's going to be interested in Switch 2 out the gate. So yeah, and the only reason I would think there is something this week is if Nintendo knows there's something people really, really want. Is it Silksong, right? We talked about Silksong many times. Maybe that's the thing. Or maybe Nintendo does want to just get out of the way all their Switch 1 announcements for the rest of the year with a general direct. And that's where you get your Prime 2 and 3 remaster. You get your maybe Wind Waker HD, as I'm teasing behind you, or whatever, right? You get something. And when you get that something, that can then clear the slate for Switch 1 the rest of the year. Because we all know when April 2nd gets here, the talk of the town, the talk all over the internet, everyone's only going to be talking about Switch 2. Like, forget about Switch 1. Once Switch 2 is here, all us YouTubers, all content creators, the world over, all the journalists, everyone's going to just focus on Switch 2. But what about those Switch 1 owners? Like, announcing Switch 1 stuff after Switch 2 might feel a little awkward and get quickly buried. Whereas if you take this week before Switch 2, when everyone is hyped and waiting for Nintendo, and then you do a surprise direct, all of a sudden, things start to look a lot rosier in the land of Nintendo fandom. Now, again, still some hopium and copium with this, and I want to note, we're not talking about this actually, it's a rumor, but it's more of a speculation rumor based on a number of different facets from all these different places, be it Family Boards, obviously on Reddit, over with Andy Robinson, and with Necro Felipe Lima. We're not going to sit here and say, like, this is absolutely happening, but here's the deal, and this is why I was so willing to make this video. Let's say this doesn't happen, and some of you that get excited for Wednesday or Thursday, we don't get a Nintendo Direct, we don't get an Indie World. Aw, shucks. Well, guess what? Does any of it matter anyways? In 10 days, the Nintendo Switch 2 April 2nd Direct happens. So even if nothing happens this week, oh well, boo-hoo away, because next week is the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. So, like, that's why I'm actually so willing to talk about this right now and the speculation, rumor stuff around this Direct in Indie World, because you know what? Even if it doesn't happen, who cares? We have another one. Obviously, I want it to happen. It would be fantastic and wonderful, and we have to do bonus streams and have so much fun, but also, hey, if it doesn't happen, it's not like we're waiting that damn long for what we really want to see. So, in the end, Indie World, Nintendo Direct, sure, let's have it both happen this week. Why the hell not? If not, cool, we have the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct in 10 days. So, let me know what you think about this down in the comments below. Do you think Nintendo is crazy enough under Shintaro Furukawa's leadership to do something like this week before the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct? Or do you just kind of think this is just a bunch of people speculating and putting out that hopium and copium? Let me know down in the comments below. I am Nathaniel Robidoux from Nintendo Prime, and as always, I'll catch you in the next video.